know what I really don't like? Work.
What would you say you do here?
Working a regular 9 to 5 absolutely sucks. When all you really want to do is sleep, play video games, and eat burritos. It's all ripped away from you by the fact that you need money to, live. And the only way to get that, with a few exceptions, is to work. Most often for someone else. So you drag into wherever it is you'll be wasting away your best years. Answering phones, stocking shelves, typing away, dealing with a rotating cast of annoying managers and coworkers, and interacting with the absolute most dreaded beings on the face of the earth. People.
This job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customers.
I've been working pretty much non-stop for the past 20 plus years, and while there are good days and bad, most of the time there's no place I'd rather be than in my own home, either in my bed or on my couch, and enjoying my favorite activity of all, playing video games. Which for me, like most people, are an escape from the monotony of everyday life. After a long day at work, it feels great to come home and lose yourself in a wonderful fantasy world that has been crafted purely for your enjoyment. Or you can beat people to death with a baseball bat. The possibilities are endless. The point being that video games give me the opposite feeling that work does. If work is boring and tiresome, video games are fun and exhilarating, which is the whole point of playing them. And that's why, once again, there is a genre of video games that absolutely baffles me. And that is the weird world of work sims. Games that simulate working. Why the hell would you do that? It seems so very cruel to me. Like, hey, had a hard day at work? Here's something that'll cheer you up. Pretending to work.
How about new?
A prime example of this is a series of games called the Konbini, which, as far as I know, has remained exclusive to Japan. They simulate the experience of working at a convenience store, offering you all the thrills and excitement of stocking shelves, running the register, and hiding in the break room. I'll admit that the visuals are at least kind of cute, using pixel art that looks like a retro RPG, and the music is kind of soothing. But other than that, this game is boring, and also fails in its premise. Because to the best of my knowledge, this isn't really anything like the actual experience of working in a convenience store.
37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
In a row?
Another work sim game that I'm familiar with is the Sega Dreamcast game called Tokyo Bus Guide, that, you guessed it, was only ever released in Japan, and as the name implies, has you playing the role of a city bus driver. Just doing your rounds, picking up and dropping off passengers at all of the designated stops. You are graded on how well you drive the bus, being vigilant to never exceed the speed limit or turn without using your signal. And God help you if you miss a stop, as your poor little bus driver is dragged kicking and screaming from his seat and beaten with a banana. Okay, I made that last part up. But again, we have a game that I find to be painfully boring, to the extent that I have to make up more entertaining scenarios in my head. Tokyo Bus Guide, you suck.
I'll turn this damn bus around. That'll end your precious little field trip pretty damn quick, huh?
One game that Western gamers might be more familiar with is Construction Simulator, which was released only a couple of years ago on PC. And again, the name says it all. You perform various tasks on a construction site, such as excavating, operating a crane, driving stuff back and forth, and catcalling women as they pass by.
And then I'll join in with you down in the water, and I'll rub all seaweed all over your ass and your neck and shit. Oh, we'll have a good time.
Okay, again, I'm just making stuff up, but this game isn't really giving me much to work with. If you've ever wanted to live the experience of being a blue-collar worker without ever actually getting off your ass, this is the game for you. For everyone else, though, I'd say avoid this one like you'd avoid doing actual work.
Well, we lied on our resume. We know nothing about construction.
When is lunch?
You're fired.
But of all the work sim games I've ever come across, one stands above the rest, as being extremely popular and having an absurd number of installments, at least in Japan. And that's the Densha De Go series. which some people might not think of as being a work sim and instead label it as a train sim. But my rebuttal to that is that in this game you are simulating driving a train for the city and or whatever company is operating the rail line. So yeah, it's a work sim in my eyes. I've been living in Tokyo for over a decade now, and I take the train back and forth to work every day. And I occasionally sit by the cab where I can see the driver, and yes, it is indeed work. Also, now might be a good time to mention that this video was selected by one of my producers over on Patreon, Sarunas. He's become quite the fan of Densha De Go and wanted to hear my thoughts on it more than anything. So to you, I say thank you. And also, I'm sorry. I really don't like these games, and it's expressly because they go for such a high level of realism. Or at least when it comes to the controls and scoring you on how well you do. It doesn't actually depict the nightmare that riding the train in Tokyo can sometimes turn into. But as you might expect, the entire purpose of any of the many Densha De Go games is simply to drive the train to each destination on the line, safely and on time. And they can be played with a standard controller, or you can go all out and get the controller made specifically for the game, which is shaped like the control panel of a train. Or better yet, if you come across the arcade machine, it recreates the entire cab of a train, so you can live out your dream of driving a municipal train slowly and sensibly. And oh man, is this boring. A gamer like me needs a little bit of action, some excitement, you know? Like if there was the Crazy Taxi equivalent of a Densha De Go game. I could see myself playing that, just flooring it down the track and smashing through cars left and right. You could call it Crazy Train, you know, like the Ozzy song. It could be like that one scene in Highlander 2 where Michael Ironside takes control of a subway train and makes it go so fast that people are flying out of their seats and being flung into walls. That could be pretty fun.
Now stop!
Anyway, I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention just how long-running and prolific this series is, as it's been hanging in there for almost 30 years, with the first game in the series being released in arcades and on the PS1 all the way back in 1996, and since then has had no fewer than 16 sequels, spanning across pretty much any console you can think of, including the N64, the Dreamcast, the Game Boy Color, Neo Geo Pocket, and even the WonderSwan. The most recent release, titled Densha De Go Plug and Play 2 Shinkansen EX, was released in 2023, and it comes in the shape of a little control panel that plugs directly into your TV, with no console required. The main difference between all of these games, aside from the graphics of course, is the areas of Japan they cover and what kind of trains you can drive. So you could be going around the Yamanote line here in Tokyo, or cruising around places like Yokohama, Osaka, and Nagoya. Or you could be zipping between cities in one of Japan's famous bullet trains. But you're pretty much always doing the same thing. Though some versions have been made specifically with new players in mind, as the standard games have a pretty steep learning curve. And there are even some entries designed specifically for kids. And that's something that I can at least appreciate. Because there are a lot of young kids in Japan to this day who are absolutely obsessed with trains. And in general, it's a rather niche but thriving subculture. For someone like that, I'm sure these games are an absolute joy to play. And hey, if it gets some kids interested in being the next generation of train drivers, more power to them. Because regardless of what I think of these games, those trains aren't going to drive themselves. At least, not yet anyway. So I don't see the fun in the Densha De Go series or work simulators as a whole. But if that's your bag, then by all means, knock yourself out. I, on the other hand, will be shooting zombies, crashing cars, slaying dragons, and beating the bejesus out of prostitutes. Because in the world of video games, there's room for everyone. Now get back to work.
Hey, try not to suck any dick on the way through the parking lot. Hey, you, get back here.
Awesome!